Last question seeking an oral reply, Mr. Tang Ka-piu. Thank you, President. Co-using water body is a key measure for the diversified development of the second CBD in Kowloon East. However, it is learned that some organizations face restrictions in setting up facilities such as spectator stands, speed rafts, landing ramps, and steps, hereinafter referred to as ancillary facilities, when organizing water sports activities in the waters of the Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter, making it difficult to organize activities on an ongoing basis and conduct regular training. Furthermore, the lack of systematic management of the large number of vessels that have long been berthed at the Typhoon Shelter also limits the room for the development of water sports activities. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. Given that the existing legislation enables the government to carry out specified harbor enhancement works through streamlined procedures, whether the government has plans to construct additional ancillary facilities along the shore of Typhoon Shelter to facilitate the organization of water sports activities. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. 2. Whether it will review afresh the functions and positioning of the Typhoon Shelter, and by taking the opportunity arising from the planning of the Yaotong Bay Comprehensive Development Area, study the construction of breakwater in Yaotong Bay to relocate the yachts from the Typhoon Shelter there for berthing, as well as setting up a yacht club to manage them centrally so as to promote the development of the yacht economy. And 3, given that according to the information on the webpage of the Energizing Kowloon East office, the government is studying the construction of a bridge linking between the former Kai-Tak runway and the Hon Tang promenade, of the progress of the study and the proposed completion date for the bridge. Secretary for Development. President, in response to Mr. Tang Ka-piu's question, after consulting the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau, the Transport and Logistics Bureau, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department, and the Marine Department, the Development Bureau's reply is as follows. 1. The north shore of the Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter is the Hon Tang Promenade, while the south shore is the Kai-Tak Promenade. To support various water activities at the Typhoon Shelter and facilitate public viewing, a wooden boardwalk of about 1 kilometer in length is provided along the waterfront of the Hon Tang Promenade. Besides performance stage and 2 spectator seating areas facing the Typhoon Shelter, each accommodating about 200 people, are also provided. The Kai-Tak Promenade features glass balustrades along the waterfront for the public to view water activities and sports events. The Kai-Tak Promenade also provides restrooms with shower facilities to facilitate public use and organizations hosting of activities. In terms of landing facilities, there are 2 sets of landing facilities within the Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter. And with the Kowloon Go Down redevelopment project, we will have an additional set of landing steps constructed for public use. It is expected to be completed by 2028. Right now, along the edge of the Hon Tang Promenade, there are 5 glass gates connected to floating platforms to facilitate embarking and disembarking of participants of water activities. Furthermore, we have the organizations of water sports being able to apply for installing facilities according to their needs. For example, a floating platform has been installed by the Hong Kong Water Sports Council, located at the Kai-Tak Promenade. The 2 other training centers also propose to install floating platforms for daily training purpose. The relevant departments are communicating with the groups on additional facilities and are more than willing to provide facilitation. According to the Transport Logistics Bureau and Marine Department, the relevant Typhoon Shelter continues to perform its function by providing the necessary mooring facilities for local vessels and providing a safe refuge during inclement weather conditions. We see daily and during typhoon periods a large number of vessels berthing in the Typhoon Shelter. We want to make sure vessels can co-use the water body during non-typhoon days. The Marine Department and the EKEO Energizing Kowloon East office have promulgated the guidelines for co-using Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter. In 2018, the Marine Department has widened the passageway along the lower shore of the typhoon shelter from 50 meters to 100 meters to release more space to facilitate water recreational activities. As we see more water recreational activities undertaken in the typhoon shelter, and we also note that there are some major sports planned to be staged in the typhoon shelter in future. The Marine Department and the EKEO are currently exploring an enhanced water body co-use proposal and are gathering views from relevant stakeholders. We strive to conduct consultation with the Hon Tang District Council and other relevant groups in Q4 of this year, tentatively. As for Yaotong Bay, the land adjacent to its water body is mostly under private ownership, planned as comprehensive development area to facilitate private projects redevelopment for residential and commercial uses. Professional yacht berthing facility is not specified. However, the government is open to proposals of yacht club development in Yaotong Bay, and landowners can develop yacht berthing related landside facilities at specific locations within the relevant area through planning application. Currently, the government plans to promote yacht tourism at 3 locations, namely the Aberdeen Typhoon Shelter Expansion Area, the Islam Macquarie area, and the Hong Kong Station Waterfront area, through open tender to allow private enterprises to construct and operate the yacht berthing facilities under commercial mechanism in disposal of lands together with the adjacent water bodies. Additionally, the development of the yacht bay at the airport city will provide additional berths. The Hong Kong Airport Authority is currently inviting expressions of interest. Third, the government is studying the construction of a bridge across the Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter to provide a direct linkage between the former Kai Tak runway area and Hon Tang, thereby improving the external transportation connectivity of the former runway area. Originally, the government proposed to construct a pedestrian cum cyclist bridge across the typhoon shelter. In view of the public comments received, the study will include the option of adding vehicular lanes and will take into consideration the overall planning and transportation arrangements of the Kai Tak development area. We will have regard to the latest circumstances and the ancillary facilities in terms of transportation infrastructure to see with the scale of the expanded bridge whether it will affect water-based recreational activities in the typhoon shelter. Once the proposals are formulated, we will consult relevant stakeholders at an appropriate time. Thank you. Mr. Tang Ka-piu. Regarding the Secretary's reply in 3 parts, I am quite happy. But I have a follow-up question. When I was young, when I was rowing as a student of the CUHK in Shingmun River, I rowed in the river for 3 years. I think the Hon Tang Typhoon Shelter as a water body is very suitable to be developed as a major water sports hub, even on a world level. I want to make sure, whether on land or at sea, the different departments have the commitment to develop along this vision. Now, the Water Sports Council has set up floating platforms at the Kai Tak Promenade for rowing and other water activities. Can we have similar facilities in Hon Tang so that for the 300,000 workers working in Hon Tang and Kowloon Bay can also row in the area and perhaps even row do dragon boat racing. Secretary, in the Kowloon Typhoon Shelter, as I said earlier, there are 3 organizations that have some short-term tenancy sites for their operations, and one of them has successfully requested and granted approval for floating platforms to be installed. We have another application that faced some challenges and approval was not granted. We are coordinating relevant departments, specifically the Marine Department, to adopt a more facilitating attitude, especially if we want to promote water activities in the area, because we will definitely need floating platforms for such activities. The location is not at the center of the water body. We believe we have a good chance of success with such application going through. The EKEO is coordinating with the Marine Department to try to facilitate this. Thank you. Professor Priscilla Lan. Thank you, President. Ever since I've become a LegCo member, I have been promoting for a water-friendly culture. And the dream is to have in Kowloon West, specifically Kai-Tak, become what it is today. We will have the boardwalk, we have the floating platforms to promote water friendliness for citizens, as well as the development of yacht economy. Starting from 2011, I have been investigating some black spots for poor water quality. If we want citizens to make use of the waterfront, if we want to promote co-use of water body, water quality is very important. I've visited Kai-Tak on multiple occasions, especially in Kowloon East. There were bouts where we see a lot of dead fish, and the odor was intolerable. And I found this to be the case when I was on a yacht on a certain occasion. When we promote the development of a yacht economy, how can we make sure sea breeze in the area won't bring about bad odor, but a breath of fresh air? Thank you, President. Thank you, member, for asking the relevant question. When we want to make good use of the water body, the premise, of course, is to have sustained excellent water quality. For example, in Kowloon Typhoon Shelter, we have already hosted competitions of different scales, even world-class competitions. I think this demonstrates people have confidence in the water quality in the area. To promote the hosting of more events in the area, I think with the members' kind reminder, even if for just once we have water quality issues, it can really scare away people. We actually have great communication with the Drainage Services Department, who is responsible for this. Whenever we have water activities, for example, some yacht club activities and other water sports events, we will have adequate assessments. We also have a regulatory monitoring mechanism to ensure water quality in the specific areas. Thank you. Mr. Chen Pui-kong. Thank you, President. I have all along paid attention to the development of the Kowloon Promenade and in general Kowloon East. So the government has plans to link the former Kai-Tak runway area and Kowloon. On top of that, can we explore other options such as water taxis or having the Kai-Tak transit system connect to the Kai-Tak runway area and Hon Tang Promenade. This will provide convenience to locals and visitors. It can also boost economic activities in the area. Secretary. Thank you, member, for the question. The Development Bureau is working with the Transport and Logistics Bureau on this, and as you may understand, the TLB is currently conducting tendering for the smart and green mass transit system in Kai-Tak. So the project is definitely there. It's a matter of whether we can provide further convenience. We also have some landing facilities in the area. We already said before we have relaxed restrictions in the protection of harbor ordinance. With that, whether we can have more landing facilities in different locations. We want to have more landing facilities. One of the visions is to facilitate the development of water taxis. In Kowloon East, the Harbor Office recently commenced a study to make use of the relaxed protection of harbor ordinance to have more facilities in East Kowloon, specifically landing facilities, and how we can facilitate the development of water taxis. We will work with the Transport and Logistics Bureau on this. Mr. Chan Pak-chi, President. The Secretary's reply said the relevant typhoon shelter will continue to maintain its function to provide berthing facilities for local vessels and provide a refuge in inclement weather conditions. I want to ask, with the enhanced proposal, what are the government's plans for the management of berth vessels? Thank you. Secretary, President, with the enhanced proposal, the Marine Department will go along two directions. When we have some major events, I believe some organizations already announced next year they will have an international dragon boat competition in this specific water body. As we are already clear about what is going to happen for this project, we know how big a venue they would need. We can, based on that, coordinate with the specific vessels who are making use of the body. In the long term, we would also see if there can be enhancement in coordination of berthing areas. I talked about specifically we have a passageway that is 100 meters wide. Outside the passageway, vessels can berth at pretty much any location. We will see if we can really make this free area smaller during non-typhoon periods. So we'll think about what we can do in the free berthing zones. But of course, this will affect vessels that are berthing in the typhoon shelter during non-typhoon periods. So the Marine Department is looking at whether it will implement targeted measures or have some long-term arrangements. It is about management of vessels' admission, whether it will continue to be free like it is right now, or whether there is some sort of management like car parks. The Transport and Logistics Bureau and the Marine Department are working on this. Thank you. Mr. Vincent Ching, I also want to ask about the management of typhoon shelter. We talked about in the question how there is lack of proper management in typhoon shelter. In fact, typhoon shelters in Tokawan and Yangmate also have some vessels that will continue to berth at the typhoon shelters for more than a year. Can we set the maximum period that vessels can berth in typhoon shelters? If it will be long, can we ask them to berth elsewhere to make sure we have our typhoon shelters used for their purposes? Like I said earlier, I would have to just convey the views to the Transport and Logistics Bureau and the Marine Department, because the designation and management of typhoon shelters are under the purview of the TLB and Marine Department. But I think it is now a good timing for us to explore how for typhoon shelter, as we are to hold the International Dragon Boat competition next year, to see which of the two options I mentioned earlier, say whether in the long term we will have a smaller free berthing area for vessels, and how we are going to deal with vessels that are berthed in the typhoon shelter in the long term. The TLB and the Marine Department will have a pragmatic approach in discussing the general arrangements in typhoon shelter. We have 4 other members who are waiting to speak, but time is up. Please follow up on other occasions.
That concludes the questions.